Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, where a world pandemic was existing and leaving death and destruction in its path. She lived. She worked and she played. She took classes. She wore many hats. She was a writer, a walker, a hiker, a runner. She was a mom, a grandma, and a wife. She existed. And that is where this story begins, with she. Storytelling gives us meaning to our lives. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone is unique, and everyone is special and has something to say. In this digital story, I want to reflect on my journey that started about 4 months ago in the EAHR 870 class. This took place over a 4-month period. And as I wear different hats in my life, this is how I see community engagement and service learning. It is about communities asking for help and people coming to serve the communities in different ways. It is about listening to what the communities need, want, and where they need help. It is about the forming of partnerships so everyone benefits in some way. It is about useful information and what can be done with that information. And then, after the work being done, then everyone reflects on the journey. I had never heard the term service learning before I picked up Button's book. Bringle and Hatcher define it like this: service learning is course-based, credit-bearing, and must be an educational experience in which students participate in an organized service activity that meets identified community needs. And then after, they reflect on the service activity in such a way as to gain further understanding of course content, a broader appreciation of the discipline, and an enhanced sense of civic responsibility. In our other text, we were introduced to community engagement, which I had a better understanding of because I'd been introduced to this in other university classes. In Sachs and Clark, they quote Boyer from his Scholarship of Engagement essay of 1996. The scholarship of engagement means connecting the rich resources of the university to our most pressing social, civic, and ethical problems. I had trouble wrapping my head around all the differences of engagement, the different hats. Service learning, community engagement, practicums, internships, apprenticeships, field courses, experiential learning. The list continued, and I was frustrated trying to understand where this course was to take me. Service learning is somewhat limiting, and Button mentioned that service learning is never transparent activity that accomplishes exactly what I, as the instructor, wanted to accomplish. But I learned in my journey that community engagement also has slippages, as we cannot measure exactly what the people we are serving take away from this. During the Coffee Row presentations that we learned about a community engagement, that it is slow and nothing happens overnight. One of the panelists mentioned that she would like to solve all food sustainability issues, but was happy that after 5 years, they got 8 boxes built for the community to grow gardens in. Another of the panelists during the Coffee Row presentations mentioned that in doing any type of research in the community, we must ask 4 questions. What do we want to know? Why do we want to know that? What will we do with the information? And will anything change after all that? Hats, 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 and more hats. What is the main role going forward? Well, this is what Jane Goodall says, and she's 85. People who retire fade rather fast unless they have something really important they want to do. It's a feeling that you have purpose and that you have less and less time to make your mark. Instead of slowing down, you have to speed up. Well, I am coming into this class at a different angle. I was so happy for the article on universities of the third age and the forum we had on this. Thus, I believe that I would approach community engagement and service learning at a different angle. It appears that universities were made for the young'uns, the ones fresh out of school. I know that this is changing and that there are more people than ever going to school, but it's taking so long. Just like everything I learn with service learning and community engagement, it takes such a long time, a lifetime. The world wants the young people, or at least that's the way it seems. I never felt excluded in this class or in the world, but age is like color. It is noticeable. It is out there. Perhaps it's the wrinkles or the rounding out of the body and the face, but age is identifiable. That would be what I bring to the table in community engagement, in a community engagement project. It would be how I see the world from this new perspective of an older person. How does the world look like from this stance? What issues and problems will need to be addressed? How can an older population contribute to communities? If you look at that community-based programs here in Regina where garden beds were built to grow gardens, I could see different ways on how people could be beneficial and play an important part in this. When my daughter was in her 20s, she decided to live at our cottage for the summer. She obtained a piece of community garden, and with the help of 2 sets of grandparents, she gardened for the whole summer. Her grandparents loved helping, and they probably gained as much from her as she from them. She was very enthusiastic. I believe that garden project in Regina could be done in the same way, approaching older people in the neighborhood for their help and guidance. What a win-win for all. Another hat. This one is of uncomfort and future growth. I have spent most of my life in an uncomfortable spot. I like learning. I'm a lifelong learner. Leaving home was sad and scary, and that first job was even scarier. Marrying and learning to be a partner, another scary part. And then having children. Oh my gosh! No one gives you a manual for that. Going to school and working and family and everything else that goes with that is just so uncomfortable. When does one begin to know something or anything? This class has stretched me again. I had to face the reality that I'm not much older, that I am much older than everyone else in the class. I am facing the end of my working journey. It was awkward, and I felt many times that I had nothing to offer. And then throw in a Padlet, a Wakelet, a Jamboard, Google Docs, iMovie, and learning how to make this iMovie all in one class. Do you think I can be any more uncomfortable? Well, I got in there, and I was able to somewhat manage in some degree. The Jamboard, though, with its little sticky notes, got to me. I was able to comment, but I could not read any of them. It was a very, very tough, and I couldn't make them larger. I struggled with it, but in the end, I just had to give up. Sometimes you just have to know when to fold them. I have grown. I have a better understanding on the importance of community engagement and on my role and the impact that I can play in a community engagement project. I look forward to being uncomfortable again. It is part of my journey. She that wears many hats. Thank you.